Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part 2 of Shirley. The link to part 1 is in the description. In this segment, we explore a poignant question. For how long can love endure without esteem? The nightly mist around the mill gates thickened into a fight scene between Robert, his allies, and the agitated workers. There was shooting here. There was stone pelting there. Without a second thought, Caroline tried to rush towards Robert to safeguard him. Shirley knew well that a man finds it demeaning to be protected by a woman whom he is supposed to protect instead. Hence, she tightened her grip on Caroline's short, tender figure and held her back. The ladies thus remained silent spectators to the battle, holding each other tightly as they trembled in fear. As dawn approached, first a clip-clop, then a clippity-clop, and several thud sounds seemed to rise and reverberate with intensity. The movement revealed a group of policemen on horseback coming closer and closer. The remaining agitated workers, now out of options, began to disperse in haste, all the while hurling curses at Robert and his kin. The ladies, knowing Robert was not seriously hurt, decided to leave for the moment. Once composed, Caroline wasted no time and stepped towards Moor House to speak with Robert. They resumed conversation as usual. Robert's attention was once more fixed on his lovely little cousin, Caroline. She began to assume Robert had returned to her. Her cheeks turned rosier, but just as she lowered her eyes in womanly shyness, they caught sight of a vase full of flowers, the kind that bloom in profusion in Shirley's garden, inviting admiration from far and wide. Hortense informed her it was a get-well-soon present sent by Shirley. Tears trickled from the corners of Caroline's eyes, but she said nothing, rushed home, lay prostrate on her bed, and cried her heart out. The silent agony turned into illness. Her feverish eyes refused to greet anyone, and her touch began to lose its warmth. She would sleep during the day and sit tense and alone at night. The symptoms couldn't be hidden for long from Shirley and Uncle Helstone, who became deeply alarmed at Caroline's changed state. A flow of various visitors began arriving in the days to come, delivering kind words for the young lady, but not once did Robert appear. In Robert's absence, another friend, Miss Pryor, turned her attention to the ailing girl. She decided to move into the rectory and nurse Caroline through those tough times. Shirley had her own reasons to feel overwhelmed. She left for a much-needed vacation with some acquaintances. Caroline's health declined day by day. Miss Pryor would not leave her alone at any time. It seemed painful for her to watch Caroline groan at night and remain withdrawn during the day. Caroline's lovely, innocent features began to fade into a look devoid of life and light, until her charm vanished altogether like the new moon night. That night, Miss Pryor discovered a shining pendant tied tightly around Caroline's nondescript, dull neck. Curiously, she loosened its grip. A lock of hair fell from the pendant. It belonged to Robert, Caroline confided in a low, gasping voice. Miss Pryor caught a hint of the true cause of her illness and decided to reveal her real identity so that Caroline would no longer suffer in silence, so she could cry her pain out rather than let her tears brim quietly behind a faint smile. That new moon night, she lifted the veil of a stranger forever and revealed herself to Caroline as her mother. She had been tortured by Caroline's father before Caroline was born. After his death, she left her daughter with her uncle, for the girl's immaculate beauty bore the handsomest features of her husband, who had married her very young, but brought her daily torment. Caroline, she thought, was destined to grow up like him, handsome, yet immoral. So she fled, took on a new name, and lived as Shirley's governess. No one in the neighborhood recognized her upon her return to Briarfield, as she had barely lived there after her marriage and had returned after many years. Much of her appearance had changed. Caroline now learned that her uncle had always known the truth, yet allowed the lady to come and care for his beloved niece. The news revived Caroline. Hunger and sleep returned in a matter of days, though she remained physically weak and haggard. Shirley returned after a week and was amazed at the recovery. She was not surprised to learn Miss Pryor's hidden secret and readily accepted her as Caroline's long-lost mother. By then, Shirley was too preoccupied to be shocked. She had her own quiet battles to face, among them hosting her highly flawed relatives, Uncle Simpson and his family, who had come to stay at Fieldhead Manor. For the most part, she ignored their nasty temperaments and the motives behind their visit. Her only real attention was given to her beloved cousin, Henry Simpson, years younger, but far more advanced in maturity. Though they doubted he would live long, they had decided to invest in an intelligent private tutor for his studies. Meanwhile, a tall figure whose shadow resembled Robert's, but whose features, upon closer look, lacked Robert's grace and aristocratic manner, befriended Caroline. This was Robert's younger brother, Louis Moore. Although Robert had charm and confidence, Louis was intellectually superior. He had come with the Simpson family and continued serving as Henry's compassionate private tutor. He maintained a respectable distance from Shirley, for reasons unknown. Shirley neither admired nor disdained him. Rather, she acted as though his presence meant nothing to her. Caroline wondered how someone as educated and perceptive as Shirley failed to notice the highly esteemed Louis Moore. Henry, too, tried to draw Shirley into lessons with Louis, but she rarely spoke to the tutor, let alone befriended him. Shirley, now of marriageable age, was never short of proposals. Among the suitors was the ever-ambitious, socially climbing curate Mr. Malone, who tried for quite some time to court Shirley. His clumsiness, however, was outrightly rejected. Her look of contempt left the poor curate injured in pride, so he stepped aside and let other suitors try their luck. Uncle Simpson was persistent in pushing her to engage with a relation of his. Shirley snubbed the man, citing his debauched habits. After that incident, Uncle Simpson was frequently at odds with her. She seemed to have lost all remaining regard for him. Their strained relationship softened only when Sir Philip Nunneley, a high-ranking aristocrat, entered Shirley's circle.
This could be the best match, a mix of wealth and wisdom which she could accept and from which we could benefit,
thought Uncle Simpson. Shirley and Sir Philip grew fond of each other. A deeper understanding developed. Much of Shirley's time was then spent listening to Sir Philip's literary creations, which sounded melodious but never held her attention for long. She would leave every time with an excuse, though she had no doubt about his budding genius. While Shirley became less present at the manor, Caroline became Henry's study partner. Together, they stumbled upon a few letters by accident. Caroline knew the beautifully crafted handwriting belonged to Shirley, but the other hand, even more elegant, Henry revealed, belonged to his tutor. The letters dated back 2 years, when Henry and Shirley were both studying under Louis.
Shirley had been the favoured student,
Henry added, a little enviously. Later, Caroline confronted Shirley. Though she admitted to having studied under Louis, she denied any tender feelings for him. She had come to Yorkshire only after defying her uncle's demands for marriage, but now even those relatives had followed her. The matter settled into dust, as Caroline could conclude nothing and became busy with her affectionate mother. But the free-spirited Shirley grew silent after the confrontation. Outwardly cheerful, inwardly she cried. Doctors ruled out illness, yet her friends worried. It was then that Louis, who rarely spoke to her, sent for her. The meeting began awkwardly. Shirley couldn't look him in the eye. Louis quietly placed a document on the table. It was a will made by Shirley, concerning the future of her belongings. Anxiety clouded Shirley's face, but slowly she composed herself and revealed the cause of her worry. A dog bite. A domestic dog had bitten her weeks ago, after suddenly entering her garden while being chased by villagers. She feared it might be rabid and that she might die. Louis dismissed her fears with a soft laugh, then explained seriously that the dog in question had no disease, it had been tortured by its owners. Illness doesn't take that long to show. The dog may have bitten out of fear. Shirley relaxed, thanked him, and wondered how anyone could make her confess her hidden thoughts. Caroline still waited to exchange a few words with Robert and congratulate him on his apparent courtship with Shirley. He had yet to return from his mission to bring the perpetrators to justice. The wait ended within a couple of weeks when two gentlemen, one middle-aged yet lively, the other young but melancholic, returned to Yorkshire on horseback. The sun, before setting, shone upon Mr. York and Robert as they discussed the recent events. Mr. York condemned Robert for staying away so long when he had such a high chance to marry Shirley, who was now being courted by Sir Philip Nunneley, a baronet far wealthier than her and with no serious faults. Uncle Simpson approved of the union wholeheartedly. A shadow passed over Robert's face. He sighed and confessed that he had proposed to Shirley before leaving to chase the vandals. At first, she thought the proposal was a joke. But when she saw how serious he was, she was deeply hurt. Mr. York stared in disbelief and asked,
"Then why did she always support you if there were no tender feelings?" "Because,"
said Robert,
"she considered me a brother."
the entire neighborhood had misread their relationship, even if she blushed at the mention of the name Moore. And worst of all, Shirley was hurt to realize Robert only wanted her for financial security, not for love. His heart belonged more to his mill than to anyone else, which Robert could not deny. Robert was fallen forever in Shirley's eyes.